folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. Have a little treat video for you today. Maybe it's not a treat, who knows? I don't even know why I said that. The glutes are an important muscle to target because everyone wants the big glutes. And deadlifting for the glutes is a great option, but what kind of deadlift to do for glutes is kind of a little bit of a question. I've put my mind to this, all my wrinkles in the top of my head and my balding ass head, and I thought about it, and I realized that there is a type of deadlift that really stimulates the glutes that most people seem to not know about. And I want to make a video now. Other people out there have said similar things before. I'm not trying to name the shit, although if you are, it's Dr. Mike Deadlift. Give this some thought. We're gonna hit you with a few different angles, few explanations to give you a little bit of a thought about what would constitute a very good candidate deadlift to hit the glutes specifically. Let's get into it. Jen is going to do a couple of different variations of deadlifts to show you guys the king shit glute deadlift that I invented. It's not my invention, but it's a great way to take the deadlift and make it a glute target exercise checking multiple boxes. The first thing Jen is gonna do is she's gonna demonstrate the sumo deficit deadlift. Excellent for the glutes, but it is absolutely a great option. But it suffers from the fact that when you push your legs out like that, you're sort of pre-contracting the glutes, and that means at the bottom, the glute stretch isn't gonna be as big as if your feet were together. Now, if we put the feet together, we're down to two conventional options that most people think of, and neither one of them is ideal for the glutes. So next, we're gonna take a look at the regular deficit deadlift and talk about the advantages and disadvantages of that from a glute targeting perspective. In the conventional deficit deadlift, the glutes are hit really well. But in order to get that deep and get a good glute stretch, you're gonna have to bend your knees a lot typically. Bending the knees is great, but it takes some of the load away from the glutes and forces it into the adductors and into the quads. Not a bad thing, this is an excellent exercise, but how do we get the glutes to do more work? And specifically, how do we get the glutes to stretch big and deep at the bottom, which is a huge growth stimulus? That takes our logic to the next exercise, which is the stiff-legged deficit deadlift, which is closer to what we want, but has a big flaw. Let's see what that looks like, and we'll talk about its big downside. So the stiff-legged deadlift is excellent at getting you to bend really deep and stretching the glutes at the bottom and targeting them. It has one fatal flaw as a glute targeting exercise. Because you are keeping your knees back and keeping the tension massively on the hamstrings, because of leverages and differential muscle strength in cross-sectional areas, the hamstrings typically are the limiting factor, which you've probably noticed when doing stiff-legged deadlifts properly, your hamstrings get fucking crazy sore, but your glutes typically don't. The glutes get a pump, they get some growth, but because your hamstrings are a limiting factor, it's not quite what we want. Which brings us to the theoretical, hypothetical supposition of what a really good glute-focused deadlift would look like. It would look like a stiff-legged deadlift, but the big cue is as you bend, beginning with relatively straight knees, you want, as you feel the hamstrings, normally in the stiff-legged deadlift for hams, as you start to feel the hamstring stretch, you lean into the stretch and push your knees back into it. In this deadlift, everything stays nice and tight, your glutes are getting a stretch, but as you go down, you let your knees come forward just enough, not a big bend, just enough so that your hams lose tension. Then what happens? You get maximum glute stretch under load and your hams don't take over. This is the Dr. Mike glute deadlift. I came up with it and you can't have it. Take that, Kaz and Brett and whoever else has glutes. We got bigger glutes. Show them your glutes, Jen. I made this. She's used these for years or whatever. I came up with it today. Anyway, let's see what those look like. All right, so it's a stiff-legged deadlift, but as you feel tension in your hams, let your knees come forward a little bit. Yes, 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 but deeper. I want you to touch the ground. Chest up. Yes, there it is. Deeper. Feel that deep stretch in your glutes. Knees forward a little. Forward. Yes. Good. all the way down to touch the ground and pause for a split second. I want maximum glute stretch. Yes,
the ground
excellent.
is so far away.
The ground is very far away.
Really
Good,
far
let those
away.
knees bend a little bit. Good. And one more. Good. And then slow, and then we're gonna put it down as if you're gonna do another. Let those knees bend a little bit. Yes, and that's it. Very good.
They're huge.
Do you feel that in there?
They're huge.
Just bragging at this point. So, to review, sumo deficit, excellent choice for the glutes. Also hits the adductors a ton. But it lacks that maximum stretch component. Conventional deadlifts from a deficit are great, and they do hit the glutes really well. But typically, people bring their knees really far forward and stay more upright to be able to lift more weight. Not a damn thing wrong with that. For powerlifting assistance, for overall lower body hypertrophy, it's a great choice. But it's not exactly targeting the glutes very specifically, because your quads play a pretty big role, especially with a big deficit. And if there's not a big deficit, well, your glutes don't get a big stretch, so it's kind of baby with the bathwater. The next choice is a stiff-legged deadlift, which is great, but it targets the hams preferentially because they are the limiting factor from those almost locked out knees. So this exercise, the big cue is it's a stiff-legged deadlift at the start, but as you feel tension in the hams, you let your knees come forward, 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 and the mind-muscle connection should be big, stretched out glutes at the bottom. Go as deep as you can, keep your tummy out, chest up, knees just bent enough for the hams to be out of the equation, and it's basically this hinge at the glutes is the movement, and your glutes will do the work. If you want to crunch them at the top for a sec, get a good mind muscle, that's another cool choice, but remember, the real money is in that deep stretch, which brings us to some working sets. Folks, Jen is going to do these. Enjoy the glute-ertainment and give some thought to including these deadlifts in your program. If you'd like to know more, sign up at my new website, www.glutedeadliftforhypertrophy, Dr. Mike //.com .ccp, JK, I think. Slow. That was the best rep of the whole fucking set. Two more good ones. Slow. Good. Slow. Up, as if another. Brilliant, brilliant. Get used to that shit. All right, hopefully that made some sense. Give this a shot. Anywhere between 5 to 15 reps typically is good for deadlift. Make sure you control that eccentric, gentle pause or touch at the bottom. Always really good technique. Make sure to warm up, do the other stuff. Add this into your arsenal for glute training. Let me know how it works, and we'll see you guys next time.